agrees with me. The best keywords, right? The second thing is you want to start going after more keywords, but the more keywords you go after, now these are maybe less, less of the optimal ones, right? So they're going to cost you more and more money over time. And your competitors, right, they're going to want to bid as well. And Google is trying to create the most fair experience for everyone as possible. So this is actually pretty controversial. I don't know a lot of marketers, I haven't heard them say this, but you can maybe do an additional $3 million per year with an optimized marketing campaign, right? Per maybe like state you're in or region. Then if you want to get to 8 figures in that state, 9 figures in that state, that's going to be a lot of relationship building, right? Goes back to the reviews, right? I feel like a college teacher saying reviews. But this is a big part, right? Like Google Ads and good SEO can maybe get you an additional 3 to 5 million per region you're in on average, right? And so what does our tool do, right? Then the AI goes in, it goes through all these complicated factors, right? We look at the conversion rate. We look at how many jobs do you get you're going to close on average. That's called your closing rate. And then it'll actually highlight, look at this, green, this campaign works. This person is going to make basically about $5 to $6 for every $1 they spend. That's a 5 to 6x return. That's great, right? Because they're in a huge region. They provide a lot of different services and they can make some good money, right? Now, this is a real life example after this. I'm not going to show all this gentleman's data. This is Chattanooga, Tennessee, small location. Why Chattanooga? Because the experience actually had a conference in Chattanooga, and I met a person in Chattanooga, right? Now, I'm not going to give away their services, but they actually only did one specific type of restoration service, and they were spending about $3,500 a month for 7 months with a marketing agency. And, that's over 20-something thousand dollars they spent. And they're like, Vlad, I'm just not getting the results. So they met me, one-on-one. And I ran the campaign and I was like, so do you want to switch? You're ready to switch to a new vendor? They were like, I kind of messed with them, right? I shouldn't have done it. But so I was like, you ready to switch to a new vendor? They're like, yes, I am, Vlad. I'm ready to get away. This person's getting me nothing. I said, well, that's too bad because you can't actually succeed in this market. With your one service and how much that service costs on average, and how your population, you should be actually spending $0 on Google Ads in your region. There's actually just not enough people here. And they said, well, thank you, Vlad, for actually telling me this. They spent some money with us for a little bit of consulting, which I don't know, whoever got rich on consultant, man, that person's a magician. I don't know how it's possible, but they spent a little bit of money with consulting on us. And then we actually ended up stopping that campaign and saving them money because it's not always the same. And I'll leave you with this last example, right? This is maybe to help your egos feel better. If you're in Phoenix, Arizona, that is one of the most competitive markets for marketing overall. I don't know why, right? Everybody knows Florida is competitive, but Arizona is there as well. You're going to have to spend a lot more money in your region. If you don't have the reviews, you shouldn't be running local service ads there. So this is why location matters and doing research in the beginning on your competitors matters. And we obviously happen to help people do this, but you can do this as well on your own. So this will actually let you know whether you should run ads. They're not always the best. So somebody can get something out of this, right? Everybody can get everything. That's my goal. Is we have 10 free gifts. You can use that QR code to get 2 of them. You can only pick 2. My partner, he's here to make us profitable. I like to say, if it was up to me, we'd be bankrupt because I'd just be giving everything away. But you can only pick 2 gifts for the QR codes. And then now is my favorite portion, which is the questions. And I'm going to give people tickets. I'm going to give away this 12,000 lumen flashlight. Most flashlights you guys use maybe have 2,000 or 3,000 lumens. And I want to really have you guys ask me the hard questions. Now, there's been a really nice person here, and she was like, Vlad, what question do you want me to ask? I'll be like a plant. I was like, no, just whatever questions you guys have, ask me all the hard ones because I want to make this valuable for you guys. And, we'll be at the booth after. So the good news is, the reason I said they're hard is because my partner, Hike, who built our software, he's going to be answering the hard questions. But why don't we start? You're going to ask the first question. Okay, cool. Let's do it. Yeah.
We spend about $80,000 overall on marketing stuff every year, and we do like Google Ads and all this, SEO and all that stuff. And I think we have one flood from Google, but it was a $40,000 flood.
There's a ticket for you. Thank you.
And I'm tempted to just say forget it and say we got one, but it was $40,000. So do I know if it's, you know, if you look at the numbers, it's not that great, but what if next year I get 3 of those, or, you know, like,
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know how to tell, you know, if you just look at the numbers, is it worth it? No, but at the same time, I don't want people to not be able to find me either.
Yeah, great question. The simple answer is I try to see if we can get at least 10 leads and qualify the channel based on those 10 leads. So an example would be if you spent, let's say, $80,000, you only got one job on it. Maybe that was from 4 to 5 leads or even more. I think if you're spending that much per lead, there's better ways to spend your money.
Yeah.
Short answer.
Yeah, the long, and this is gonna be a long answer until somebody else raises their hand. How many calls did you get during that campaign is the real question, right? So for everybody in the room, right? So she spent money, she got one job, right? It was a big job, which is good, right? And we've gotten people school districts before, right? On their first 2 months, they're like, Vlad, you're a genius. You know, I don't correct them, but right, I take the compliment. But I didn't get the school district to call, right? That's just an ad, right? So you got one job. How many phone calls?
So what we actually do is we had a hard time. We used to have what you were talking about, the different phone numbers, and people thought we were scammers because they were like, "Well, I just called this number
Yeah.
and it didn't say Steam Fleets and this and that." So what
Yeah.
we actually do, we have one number,
Mm-hmm.
but what we do is document where the number comes from, and we actually have a human answer our phone. We advertise that, whatever. So that's how we separate everything. But
So it's hard to see how many phone calls you got, is what I'm hearing.
No, we do, and I mean, we do have some cleaning that comes from Google too, but I mean, that's not like a ton of money. I'm just talking
Yeah.
about the restoration, because we don't run a ton of Google ads for cleaning.
Yeah. So yeah, the biggest thing is I would just go back, and this is why we use multiple phone numbers, right? I don't know who thought you were a scammer, but you just say, hey, this is call tracking, and you can blame Vlad for it, right? But it's really how many phone calls. Do you want to get that amount of phone calls, right? Because it could have been luck. Now with social media, by the way, social media ads, the best thing I've seen, right, is actually Rocky Mountain Restoration. They actually ran a Facebook ads for getting more plumbers, getting more referral partners, right? But most of the time, Facebook ads, et cetera, we haven't seen them work well. On the organic side, they can work, but it really the tricky part is how many phone calls did you get from that ad campaign? That's what I would look at.
No, not paid, just referrals.
Oh, referrals. But you said you got one from an ad campaign, right? I would have to count how many phone calls you get from that ad campaign, and that's how we would measure. But next question, gentleman over here. The hard one, the hardest question you got.
So spend about 3,000 a month on maybe 3,500 a month on LSA.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's good.
It was working out really good. A year or 2 years ago, it was really good 2 years ago. Now fast forward to today, we're lucky if we're seeing 3 jobs a month coming in the door. We track every single call. What's going on here? What am I doing wrong?
And did the calls dry up or did they stop closing?
No, the phone system stopped ringing on those.
Okay.
We're getting from our other sources, plumbers or whatever.
Makes sense. There's 3 reasons why we see that in some markets. One reason we see that is if you ever miss a call or you don't answer a call, you get dinged really hard by Google. You might drop for 2 weeks and you're just not going to get any leads because they prioritize people who answer the phone quickly. The reason for that is because they only get paid if you answer the phone, and so they don't want to send leads to people who don't answer the phone. It's a temporary thing, so it should come back. The second reason we see that is due to reviews. If there's competitors that are coming up with more reviews, they're just going to show up higher. And if you're 5th down the list, you're just not going to get any calls. And the third reason is just due to saturation. There's only at most 20 businesses that you could see if you really dig into Google Guaranteed as a customer. Usually they only show 2. If you click more, it goes to 20. But there's obviously more than 20 people advertising in the market. Let's say there's 100 people. And so 80 of those people are just not getting shown a good chunk of the time, and it's rotating. Google's business plan with Google Guaranteed is to try to keep everyone in the mix. So they don't want to reward anyone too heavily. As long as they're sending you some calls, they know that you'll stick around. They don't want people to cancel. But they're not trying to make any one person too big of a source of revenue for them. So it's like a de-risking strategy. There's not really a great solution to this besides being the best reviewed person in your market. That's
You
the
didn't have
only
a
way to
question,
really
did you?
make yourself
You have a
stand
question?
out
No.
if you're answering the phone quickly.
What should I be adding in with that? Should I be doing something else?
Typically for people who have topped out on Google Guaranteed, we recommend other pay-per-lead sources. If you're not doing Service Direct or 33 Mile or Angie's Leads, at least try them in your market because they work better in some and worse in others. Then the next thing from there that we usually say is pay-per-click ads, because those you have a little bit more control over by paying more. The challenge we've seen with Guaranteed is you could bid $10,000 per lead, but you're just not, Google's not going to show you unless you have the reviews.
Yeah. So, okay, Lori, I'll ask. Can you give us the ticket target? The other thing I want to add I'll go. The other ticket thing I wanted to add actually for affiliate sites like these different lead generators is they've actually approached us before to be affiliates of theirs before, right? I'm not going to say which lead generator asked this, but basically you want to try all of them because sometimes the competitors will bid up the price. Sometimes there's no competitors bidding up the price for these different, from Angie's to 33 Mile, et cetera, right, as these additional sources. The other thing is sometimes they don't have many affiliates in your area, so they're not going to get as many leads. So this is why we always recommend everybody should test these different lead generators out. Yeah, I'm going to give him the mic. I see people raising hands. I want him to answer these. But there's a gentleman back there. The question, yeah, go ahead.
So you mentioned Angie's and getting different phone numbers.
There you go.
So we go to Google Voice, we get another phone number, we were on Nextdoor or on Angie. And all these platforms have their own
Thing that we put before.
Oh, the free ticket. Okay, great. I'll shoot you an email.
What's the name of again of the company?
Oh, Restoration Inbound. We're going to be at the conference too. Oh, Brainy Lion. Brainy Lion. Like brainy, and then lion. Here, I'll put it in.
Yeah. Yeah, generally speaking, you want to be using the CRM or a dedicated call tracking solution like CallRail versus something like a Google Voice. Because Google Voice doesn't really think about that problem, if that makes sense. They don't think about how do we get all this information in one place to make it easy. Something like a HubSpot or Go High Level or CallRail, they solve this problem because anytime somebody texts one of your tracking members, they all go to the same place. The only limit is, like you said, if somebody messages you, message on Nextdoor, message on Facebook, message on Instagram, those are going to be in 3 different places. Now you're chatting with people, you're messaging. It doesn't pull from those into one place.
So there's no way of like Facebook, Nextdoor,
Some of them, yes, like WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram can get pulled into a CRM like High Level, but there's other ones like Nextdoor where it doesn't pull in, Thumbtack it doesn't pull in. You know, it's not consistent.
Check those individually, and
yeah,
that would be the $1 million idea, right?
Yeah, the hack that we recommend is having them all send text notifications. So like if you have a Thumbtack, for example, you can have it do a text notification whenever you get a lead, and then that text can go into your CRM. So your CRM tells you you've got a lead. That's the one place you're looking.
There's a question down there. Go ahead.
What are your thoughts on doing something like Service Direct and 33 Mile at the same time? Are you wasting money? Are they competing with each other?
Great question. We recommend trying all of them
At the same time?
in each market at the same time is fine too. Just because different competitors will be on different platforms. In some markets they work better, in some markets they work worse. And so you don't really know until you try it in your area.
So, when you're spending money
Yeah.
to boost your website and then you're doing leads as well, does it, I see other competitors that don't even have websites. Am I wasting money by putting that money into supporting the website and trying to get that seen through, a company? Or would I be better off just paying for the Google or ads, that kind of thing? What are your thoughts on that?
I would say a baseline of a website is important just because at least if someone refers you business, that there's a place they can look and make sure that this is really the right company I'm calling. And it's possible that you try Google Ads, for example, in your market, it doesn't make sense. SEO usually works in every market, it just takes time. So there's no reason you shouldn't be doing that. But you do need to have some kind of a website. It doesn't have to be the flashiest website in the world.
When you're spending money though to get it boosted and seen, when you stop spending money, does that take away from what you've already done? And is it worth it to keep putting money down that?
Potentially it can if there's competitors that are outpacing you. Let's say if I'm in a competitive market like Miami, I get to the #1, and then I just stop doing anything. other people are going to outbeat me because they're doing the same things I'm doing, but actively when I'm stuck. If I'm in a weaker market, that might hang around for a few years if no one's really picking up the pace.
The other thing is, we like to say Google Ads is basically like renting space, right? Renting property online. And then SEO is like owning it, right? Building it. Now, SEO will go away, right? Because we got Sean sitting over here and other people in the room trying to outgame each other, right? And we're always masterminding, et cetera, right? So the key part is, you should know is that SEO is going to still be more profitable in the long run. But then over time, right, it's just going to be getting more and more competitive. So the biggest thing I wanted to stress though with your lead generator question is tracking, right? If you're not tracking those lead generators, then you don't know which one's the best. Yeah. All right, go ahead, Jorge. Go ahead. Yeah.
We heard these days about how important it is to follow social media and check your numbers and all these things, right? But some of the advice is find somebody in your office that they can go and they do social Facebook posts and all these things. I have this problem is in your successful businesses that you are dealing with, most of the time they have a person and the only thing that this person does is track these numbers, be sure that everything is right, or they have is just who is responsible for this?
Yeah, great question. So I would say for companies that are doing more than 1 or 2 million a year, they usually have a marketing employee in-house. It could be somebody who does it part-time and they're maybe a technician. It could be the owner's son or family member, but they usually have some kind of help internally at that level. Smaller companies, it's usually either the owner doing it or they outsource it to a company like us, or they have a virtual assistant or something like that.
So for bigger ones, what is the situation? They have somebody.
Usually past a few million. If they're doing 2 or 3 million a year, at that point we recommend that you should have somebody. The owner shouldn't be doing everything themselves at that point. They should have enough money coming in. They can hire somebody to take some of that work.
Got a minute left. All right, this has to be the last question because we're going to approach on time. Yep, he says 2 minutes right there. Go ahead.
Okay, in the website, we do have a company that manages the website. My question is, who do we make the website attractive to? Because the company that we use, like I look at the website and I don't like it. I find it boring.
That's good, actually. No, I'm just kidding.
No, it's long blogs.
Yeah.
They said that I have to have blogs.
It's true.
Says water damage a bajillion times, but like within the same blog, the water damage and the water damage. So if you're a person reading it, it doesn't sound right, but they explained to me that I have to have those words so that when Google looks at the website, they find and our keywords need to be mixed in the blogs. So, but for humans, how do I make it? Oh, I like it, and I know it's not an attractive business or anything, but you want a website that let me see who was there, or let me look at the projects they did.
Yeah, what you're referring to is a fancy keyword, something fancy called keyword density, which means we used to have to do is say water damage. I'm from Seattle, so water damage Seattle 100 times on the page. So today that's actually pretty old methodology. You don't have to just stuff the whole page with that, and make it like that. Now the length can matter. Why? Because Google wants someone who is constantly creating new information on a topic and knows a lot, right? If we can talk about 5 hours of Google ads, you're gonna be like, man, these guys know a lot. If we don't have 5 hours of Google ads information, you're gonna be like, I don't know, right? So the longer they are, the better. So I recommend putting what you think is important and making it pretty at the top, and then you have extra information at the bottom. But keyword density is a thing that is kind of outdated nowadays.
So these same blogs, can I go ahead and put them in the business page, just like copy paste?
Yeah, you want to have a.
My services, can I just take this data that
Yeah.
I have and I put it here?
Yeah, you want to have a page for every keyword, and Mike's telling me to wrap it up, and you don't want to see him mad at me. So basically, we do have a booth, guys, and we actually we'll provide free software over there, and we got drinks, which no Colombian coffee, sorry. And the winner for the raffle, I would say, is 914520. I don't know if anybody here is that their number. This is like Lotto. Oh, there you go. You got the free 12,000 lumen flashlight. So thank you guys. Appreciate it. Thanks again. We'll be over there in the corner. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you, Mike. Mhm. Thank you.